Dennis, thank you so much for joining me here on Contractor Stories today. I've wanted to do this interview for some time. How are you?
Good, Jim. So awesome to see you and Tommy in Vegas just a few weeks ago again.
It wasn't that long ago, and it's always great to see you. I follow you online. You're a globetrotter, so anyone who knows Dennis, he travels around the world to see a lot of things. So we should do a podcast just on your adventures.
I have 6.5 million miles and I
Six and a
built
half million
AA.com
miles.
for American Airlines. Yep. Back in the late 90s. Another topic.
Wow, so you must fly for free or next to it at
I'm
times.
platinum on multiple travel
Wow.
providers.
Maybe you should get your own plane.
I have a lot of friends who have planes and I'd rather fly on theirs. They can pay.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for joining me today again. I wanted to get you on here to talk about what a lot of people are talking about, which is Google still relevant in home service or as relevant as it has been for a couple of decades? And is Google possibly being left behind with AI now out in front? And don't get me wrong, everybody, there's kind of a difference. People still, want to use Google for searches, but I'll tell you, I do a lot of searches myself, Dennis,
Mm-hmm.
on ChatGPT, on
Mm-hmm.
Gemini, which is a Google product,
Mm-hmm.
Claude, and I'm using it to give me answers. So if I'm looking for an HVAC company, I might go right to ChatGPT now, forget
Yeah.
Google, right? And
Yeah.
type in there, I need an HVAC company. I want to spend this much. I live in this neighborhood, and I can really just put in some prompts
Yeah.
and get some real decent information.
Yeah. Just this morning, my buddy Ben, who works with roofers and HVAC guys, was showing me how many calls, not just how many visits, not just rankings, but how much revenue was coming through ChatGPT through recommendation. And ChatGPT is 70% of AI. It's the dominant, in the same way Google dominates search, ChatGPT is the dominant player in AI. But here's something that people don't understand, because the typical gloom and doom with all these contractors is they're saying, oh, well, Google's going away and I now got to rank an AI and there's AI this and there's AI that. That is nonsense. Let me tell you what's actually going on. Google released their earnings 2 weeks ago, and this was the biggest quarter ever they've had in revenue because of AI,
Okay.
because they've been releasing the AI mode. So AI mode is showing a mix of results, and they have a better cost per transaction. They have a technology advantage over everybody. That no one in the world of technology can generate tokens cheaper than they. So tokens are how AI is operating. It's like how much fuel is going into the engine.
Yeah.
And they have built their own uh, transaction processing system,
Hmm.
what they call TPU, tensor processing units. So Google has built their own hardware and they have an unassailable advantage over anybody. ChatGPT is run by OpenAI,
Yeah.
which is kind of owned by Microsoft, which owns the Bing search engine. Bing, where do they get their search results from? Do they own their own hardware? No, they don't. So Google has an advantage and what they're basically doing is they're sucking the oxygen out of the room so that all these AI guys, Sam Altman, who runs OpenAI, just committed to $1.4 trillion in capital commitment over the next year. So they've agreed to spend $1.4 trillion buying the hardware necessary to be able to run every time you talk to ChatGPT, Jim, that's burning tokens, right?
I know.
And
And
it might burn 1,000 tokens. It might burn 2,000 tokens. Do you know how much those tokens cost every time you have a conversation?
I will tell you this, I have an unpaid version and I'm taking advantage of the system, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and 90%, 95% of people using ChatGPT are using the free version. So
Yeah.
they're losing money. So last month, ChatGPT said they're launching an advertising mode
I've
because
heard.
they have to, right? So Google, do you think they were not aware of this? My next door neighbor runs AI for Google. And she and I she's got hundreds of engineers. She's one of the sharpest people on the planet. You do not want to argue with her because she's just one of the, like all these people at Google are just, and I just love having dinner because A, she cooks really well, but B, they're so smart. They're well ahead of this thing, right? So I'm not saying this, but this is the way they didn't say this. This is how I'm interpreting this. Google has seen everyone in the world of tech who knows what they're doing has seen this thing 5 miles ahead, right? And ChatGPT is bleeding to death. They're
Mm.
generating 20 billion in revenue for this year, 2025. They're losing $1 billion a month, even off the revenue that they're generating. And they have a $1.4 trillion capital commitment. So explain to me how that business model works.
Well, it's an investment up front. That's the whole deal, right? I mean, think about, uh, years ago with the, dot-com bubble and so forth. Isn't that some
Yeah.
of the same thing where there was a lot of hope and investment and it's to come, right? It's to
There's a
come,
bubble.
and it explodes, and then there might be one winner out of it.
So it's definitely there is value in AI. People are using AI. AI is making recommendations. It's answering the phone. AI is driving the cars. AI is powering the feed. Everything that you do on your phone is powered by different AI agents at different levels in the stack. But check this out. Yesterday, Google just announced instant price quotes. And they're showing, so if you do a search for HVAC, or if you talk to ChatGPT or whatever, or Google Gemini, hey, I need a replacement air conditioning unit. It will show quotes from different providers if you've integrated these systems, and it'll show it at the very top in the AI mode without even needing to go to the Google Business Profile inside Maps, without even needing to go to the website. And they've launched this integration. We saw it a couple months ago. We knew it was coming. These HVAC guys were like, oh, no, 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 no. We're just going to keep using Service Titan. We're not going to show the price. We're going to send a technician out to the house because we don't want to show our price online. But for example, if Google knows, if Google, first off, Google, let me go back to what I was saying. Google controls the underlying hardware. They have a hardware cost advantage. Nobody can beat them, right? In terms of they built their own processors, their own machines, right? So because of that, that advantage translates to the information layer. Nobody can beat Google at gathering information, right? Then the layer on top of that is what's called inference. So when you talk to an AI and it's reasoning with you, that's called inference. And there's certain chips called GPUs that are made by NVIDIA. That's why NVIDIA is like the world's number one. The NVIDIA makes GPUs, which are not the same as chips that are on your laptop. Or these are very special chips that cost $2.5 million that are the size of a refrigerator that weigh 2,500 pounds. That's what a GPU is. There's only two companies that make GPUs. NVIDIA, which owns that whole market, which is powering OpenAI and all those other guys, and Google. Okay. So, because Google has an advantage in the hardware stack all the way up into their own TPUs, they have more information, they can process the tokens cheaper, and then they have intentionally waited years. I've talked to Google engineers from 5 or 6 years ago. I was one of the first users of OpenAI before it became ChatGPT 5 years ago. Most people have only heard about it 3 years ago, right? 2022 or so. I
2.
was using
Yeah.
it in 2020. And I asked these Google engineers, I won't name them because someone will get fired. I've gotten in trouble for outing people at Google. And they said, we are waiting because we don't want to show AI mode. We don't want to have this the back and forth chat where you talk to it and the words go down the screen, which is what
Mhm.
most people understand. They had that 5 years ago. They had all this way before ChatGPT. They didn't release it. You know why?
Mm.
Because it made them less money. They found that when they showed regular search results, because the way homeowners behave, especially 50 plus, is they're used to, it's like the yellow pages. They look at the results, they click on one of the, map results, or they watch a YouTube, they click on one of the 10 blue results, right? And that's how they've always done it. They've done tests where they gradually start to show ChatGPT looking sorts of consolidated answers, which is inference, or they started to show if you have a conversation with them, which is what you and I do with the AIs, we have a conversation, recommend, it's like an advisor, a spiritual coach, whatever you want to call it. That's how people are starting to use it now, right? A life coach. They found that makes less money, and they've had trouble embedding recommendations. So if I say, who should I hire for, I have an emergency pipe burst. What plumber should I call? Well, here's 3 plumbers you can call. How then do you show that one of those is sponsored, right? How do you can you mix an advertising model with a subscription model? And so what Google has determined is that you can't do both. And the subscription model, which is like a Netflix or an Amazon Prime, doesn't work as well. And that's why ChatGPT is bleeding so badly, and they're trying to transition to an advertising model. Because advertising, think about what is that click worth in an advertising model for someone who needs a plumber or a roofer or whatever right now.
Hundreds of dollars in some cases versus someone spending 20 bucks a month as a subscriber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So $20 a month a subscriber. Now, how much does it cost? So if you open up ChatGPT in pro mode, that costs about, well, they'll charge you about $1.50. And depending on how you do the math, it's costing them about $5.
That's
So
bad
if
math.
imagine, Jim, this business model. You don't have to have a finance degree like I do to know, like, I'm gonna have a business model where I'm gonna sell $10 bills for $3, right? And I'm gonna make it up in scale. Right? Well, the more $10 bills I sell for $3, the more money I lose. But we're investing in the technology, and we're gonna somehow make it up in this bubble kind of promise, like the dot-com bubble thing.
Mhm.
That's what's occurring right now. And so Google, being super smart about this, saw this years ago and said, "We're gonna suck all the oxygen out of the room by letting all these guys make trillion-dollar commitments, and, like, go underwater, go into the red." Meanwhile, Google is able to provide a better answer. They can do processing for cheaper. They can do everything these other guys can do with the images and the video and the chat and the agent, like do you think they didn't see this coming years ago?
Sure.
And so then they're gradually just releasing these other things as necessary and letting these other guys run out of cash. That's what's going on.
Yeah, they're taking the oxygen out. They're kinda they're starving them. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so Google has changed over time. And in the early days, it was, it looked different on the PC. And then when
Mhm.
things went to, smartphones, they changed things even more. And ads used to be on the side, and
Yep.
there weren't maps and places and all that stuff. I mean,
Right.
everything was, kind of simple. Today, it's more complicated for home service companies. They have to work so hard to keep up with it, and it's gotten so much more expensive and more competitive because every home service
Yeah.
company wants to use Google to
Mhm.
get their leads, honestly, because I think a lot are lazy. In my business,
Mhm.
contractors use my radio show, the old-fashioned
Mhm.
radio, to get legitimate appointments, but a lot of people will say, "I'm not doing TV or radio, that's
Mm.
old-fashioned, that's expensive." So
Mm.
everyone's in a digital space.
Yeah.
Google's kind of a mess. All I hear about are complaints how expensive it is and how
Yeah.
ROI is going down for the contractor.
Yeah.
But with AI now and Google kind of being in charge, there's a, huge opportunity. And for me as a user of AI, I started, and I was probably not an early adopter, but I probably wasn't
Mhm.
a late adopter. I started using ChatGPT. And
Mhm.
then Gemini sort of, came up because I go to Google and type in something, and
Yeah.
this AI answer will come up, and it's Gemini. So I started using
Yeah.
that app, if you will,
Mhm.
and I like it for a lot of things more than ChatGPT, actually.
Mhm. Mhm.
And this is very interesting, and I bring this up to all of the people who are watching this now who are, contractors.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, it's not 1970 anymore. In 1970, you bought the big ad in the yellow pages, and that was it. You paid to be in the yellow pages. That was the Google. That was it.
Mhm.
That's all you had to
Mhm.
do. And then if you had
Yeah.
more money, you did some TV and radio and billboards and so forth, but everybody was in the yellow pages. Google's gotten out of control, and a lot of people are using other ways to search for things. I mean, I don't wanna talk about YouTube too much, but YouTube's a huge, search engine as well to
Yeah.
find things. And my point is things are very fragmented today, and a question for you now at this point of this conversation, Dennis, is if you are an HVAC company, if you're a plumber and you're 1.5, $3 million company, you're
Mhm.
trying to grow. Let's say you were a consultant and you were brought in to make it a
Mhm.
$15 million company in 24 months.
Yeah.
How do you do that today?
So I'm gonna tell you the same thing that I told Tommy Mello 7 years ago, that I told Dan Antonelli, that I told, you know, Chuck Thoke and these other guys. And it's very contrarian. All these other people in digital marketing and social media and AI will wanna disagree with me,
Mhm.
but they'd be wrong. And it's this:
For you.
your reputation people who have heard of you. I mean, the reason why, Jim, you do long form radio and you advocate having one key offer per season.
Mhm.
And the reason why you do things like podcasting and YouTube is you're establishing trust with your base of contractors as well as homeowners that are making decisions with these. You have the radio show and this kind of, I know this is the Contractor Stories podcast, but that reputation, when people see that you are with other people that are well known in the industry, that's how all of us are making decisions based on, oh, well, how does that homeowner making a decision? Well, they're seeing like, well, I've seen their vans around. I've seen this guy on social media. I've seen him, at my neighbor's house. I've seen right that kind of trust where they've seen you before is what influences who they decide when they do the search and they pick between the three map results. That's how they decide. So it's not because it's radio. Radio is one form of distribution of the underlying ingredients of the actual trust. So if you build a website, if you do a YouTube channel, if you have a radio placement, if you have, billboards or whatever, those are all just distribution channels of the underlying core ingredients of trust. So here's the thing. Here's the one thing that these contractors don't understand. They think it's some technique where, well, now it's so fragmented and difficult, we got to invest in AI and all this. No, you don't. If you have the underlying trust and stories, if you have relationships, Sal Sciorda of Plumbing Pros in Easton, Pennsylvania has 350 five-star Google reviews. His dad was a retired emergency service worker or policeman, and worked for the city. And he learned plumbing from his dad. And there's lots of stories of him in the neighborhood at his favorite falafel place that we went, and we had shawarma there, right? And he's built relationships in the city. He's like he just got his vans redone. I wish it was done by Dan Antonelli, but it was another guy. And so his face is everywhere.
Mhm.
Not because he's doing radio and YouTube and social media, or because he's asking customers to collect reviews and incentivizing his people by paying $25 per review for each technician. Yes, those are all good, but the underlying ingredients are there to then be distributed on YouTube, on the website, on Google My Business, and whatever. And so you and I have AI basically be workers to distribute. Like you said earlier, you have these department heads. Some are human and some are not human. And so all the humans on our teams, they all have become managers and they all have AI workers that are taking like this podcast episode that we have and turning it into an article and turning it like, for example, Dave Carroll, right, who runs Dope Marketing. He's been one of my star young adults that has grown from nothing. And he'll even say like, yep, Dennis started with me when I was just on his knee, like 12 years ago. And now he's got a $100 million a year company. I flew out to Minnesota. I could have done a Zoom call. I flew out to Minnesota to see him to show how he's doing direct mail for these home service companies. And every step of the process and his mindset, just like with Tommy and I in person doing the podcast. Not we've done some Zoom ones, but we've done it in person because that's what's better. But that episode of me and Dave Carroll has gotten 350,000 views on YouTube of
Wow.
contractors. And I didn't target contractors. I merely put a little bit of money into the machine, Google's machine, YouTube is part of it. And because HVAC and roofers and plumbers see this, Google, YouTube sees the signal and shows it to more people that are also plumbing and HVAC and electrical and landscapers and all that, right? Because of the nature of the quality of that core signal. So if you and I are in Vegas at Home Service Freedom and we're hanging out with Tommy or whoever it is, and we put that out there on the website, or we turn it into a podcast, wherever it is, the distribution is different from the core asset. The money is different than the purse. The books are different than the bookshelves, right? It's not that people get caught up on the distribution and the technology and they forget about the core ingredients. If those core ingredients are high quality, then the AI, whatever, I don't care if it's Gemini or ChatGPT or Anthropic, can process those core ingredients and then make you rank in ChatGPT. So people are saying that the thing that you'd started with was, oh, well, Google's losing their lead and people are using ChatGPT and asking for recommendations at this top layer. But how is ChatGPT coming up with recommendations? It's pulling from the same information layer down here that Google and Anthropic and all these other guys are. So if if the core information reviews the services you have, the way you treat your customers, you know, the way you onboard your employees and the vans that you have driving around and the billboards, like if all of that stuff in the real world is solid, you're able to rank in Google and ChatGPT at the same time because they're both looking at the same underlying core set of ingredients. So it's not an either or. It's not like, oh, well, us Yellow Pages people, we got to change because now Google's the online Yellow Pages. It's not 1974 anymore. Yeah, but that's a distribution shift. In the same way, it's a distribution shift. So people are now talking on their phone and having conversations. But it's still the same strategy of building reputation and you having conversations with people in your neighborhood. So if I'm a contractor, I'm going to make sure, if I'm a roofer, I'm going to make sure that I'm friends with the garage door guy and the real estate agents and the local schools and that I take care of my people. And all of those real signals showing that, I'm an electrician in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that I do remodeling. And, I'm Sam DeMeo of Showcase Remodels. And, I do stuff not just for the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, but all these other, like I'm showing who I value. I'm showing who I'm around because now Instagram, which is his main channel, and Google and, all the other channels can pick up on the same set of ingredients. So Sam DeMeo, for example, of Showcase Remodels, he's got tons and tons of videos and stories and whatever on his phone. He set up a podcast studio because I told him to and made it all fancy. I'm sure you'd approve. But he's interviewing other contractors in his area. He's interviewing other restaurants. He's interviewing other people that are part of the city.
Mhm.
And that is causing him to rank in ChatGPT. Not because he's doing anything technology driven,
No.
but because he's merely connecting in person as real as possible, and then using AI tools to turn it into a book, to turn it into a YouTube channel. So I looked at your Contractor Stories podcast on YouTube. You've got so many of those. Those are real experiences. Imagine if those are repurposed into articles properly. Imagine if the snippets were cut out by AI. The AI can snip out the little clips, right?
Yeah. No,
I tell
absolutely.
these contractors, you have all of it. You have all this stuff. It's just you haven't put it in one place. Put it in one place inside a Google Drive, and then ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever can pull from that and then be your whole team of video editors, website builders, social media people, advertising. You and I know that you can have AI. You can. We even named them Stephanie and Jonathan and Christopher, and they do the work. And I say, and they actually like Jennifer. We have a large team, and Jennifer is our article grader. So when people want to publish a blog post, they run it by Jennifer, right?
Yeah.
So Jennifer gives feedback, and Jennifer fixes it. Jennifer says you might want to include a link to this other thing where Jim Klauck and Danny Liebrandt talk about the power of long form radio and the brand and the relationship. You might want to mention that here. You might want to link there. You might want to rephrase this. You might want to put the thing at the bottom, put that to the front because that's the hook of that article. Change the title, change the image. So Jennifer does all of that.
Yeah,
And
it's incredible.
Christopher helps people get knowledge panel. So Christopher helped Dan Antonelli get his knowledge panel, helped Tommy get his knowledge panel. I think helped you maybe, helped other people do that. But we had
Yep.
real humans.
I still
Like,
need help with mine, by the way, but
yeah, we'll
well,
help you with all that, right?
I know you
But
will, Dennis.
so all of this stuff is 90% of the work, Jim, is being done by these agents,
Yeah.
but they're being supervised by someone who's very competent in that area,
Well,
right?
so here sits the problem. It's not 1974. A plumber from 1974, there's some little differences, but a plumber from 74 could do some of the work today in the field.
Right.
But the back office, the marketing, everything has changed. So what contractors need, home service companies need to become are marketing companies that happen to fix plumbing,
Mhm.
HVAC, electrical, and your roof. And some of these guys are just simple companies, and some have grown to pretty large companies
Yeah.
over the decades doing an old-fashioned type advertising and marketing, campaign over time. But the ones going forward for sure have to bring these people in. So let me take a shot at this. If there's a company that you're trying to grow to a $15 million company, and let's say they're 1.5 or 3 now,
Yeah.
you've gotta bring in somebody, probably someone who may work directly for the company,
Yeah.
right? And they need to head this up and say, it doesn't really matter what we do here, whether it's plumbing, HVAC, or roofing. We need to start with this. You guys do the technical stuff out there, and our department will do this. And that's what needs to be done.
Yeah. So there's a friend of mine, his name's Anthony Hill, and he's grown now to a $6 million landscaping company in Bloomington, Indiana. He's just expanded to Nashville, and now he's setting up in other cities, and he wants to grow to be a $20 million landscaping company. And with us, he's grown a couple $1,000,000, right? So not unreasonable to go from 3 million to 5 million to 20 million, right? Because now he's put in place operators by city. It's almost a franchise, but not quite legally, right? But
Yeah.
the people that manage, like GMs of each of these cities, if you will,
Yep.
right?
Sure.
And so the issue has been because the marketing is actually easy because the first thing you do is you run local service ads. You put money in the machine with Google. Now, if that's not working, that's because you have a trust and reputation and you haven't set up your Google business profile. Your reviews are not working as well. If those fundamental things that we talked about earlier are in place, it's very easy to put money in the machine of Google and Facebook because it literally just generates calls. It prints money. You pass back the call disposition, like what happened. You make sure you answer 24/7.
Yes.
You can use like these different AI tools to answer the phone and do quotes and all that. But if your operations are steady, so with Anthony, his operations, his field, like the way the field, he's got all that stuff tightened, right? So now by turning up the marketing machine to the point where, that then he, as long as he can still respond to people that same day or within the next day, not wait like a week out to do the estimates,
Mhm.
then, we turn the marketing up, the operations has to catch up. Then we turn the marketing. So it's constantly like this, because if we turn the marketing all the way up, it, you're going to have a bad experience because if you can't get to people that same day,
Yeah.
it's not good because they're going to go to someone else, and now you're wasting money. You're putting all that money into Google and Meta's machine. Like it's so easy. Like roofers is our favorite category right now because we have a template you could easily see. It's not a secret on how to get roofing leads for super cheap. Facebook Ads Library lets you copy anyone's ad, so you can literally copy our ads. Right?
Oh,
If you
wow.
want to know, go look at Infinity Exteriors in Wisconsin and copy the ads. Like, don't exactly copy, but copy the format of what we're doing there. And we're doing millions of dollars in roofing jobs. And you can see exactly what we're doing, right? So it's very easy. I know it sounds kind of like smug to say this to someone who's like a plumber and doesn't understand that. They think they don't understand the digital. But the issue we find is the market, the thing that limits the marketing, the thing that causes the cost per lead for a plumber or a garage door or HVAC guy or whatever the reason why the marketing doesn't perform is because of something wrong with the Google business profile, where
Mhm.
the technicians aren't getting reviews, they're not answering the phone, they're not passing back the conversion signal, the website loads too slow. Like it's always something on those lines that's independent of the actual marketing that you do. Therefore, if we understand that's what's actually going on and that Google and Facebook and ChatGPT and all that are trying to make it as easy as possible for the contractor, then we can deputize someone like Anthony chose Catherine. So Catherine's trained up in our program. And all the stuff we put for free, it's all for free. Like everyone can look at all our SOPs, all that training is out there for free. All the YouTubes are out there. All that's out there for free, right? You don't even have to like put in an email. It's just out there for free because we want people to see it. These home service companies, provided they're at least a couple $1,000,000, we've seen them have their own son or daughter run the marketing. And so there's a friend of mine Jeremy Newman, who runs a $10 million restoration company in San Antonio. And his daughter, Mia, just graduated from college.
Mhm.
And he was telling me, no joke. We were having Brazilian barbecue, which is my favorite. We call these meetings. We have meat. I love having these
Meetings, yes, MEAT,
meetings.
yes.
Yes. And he said, my daughter, Mia, she's graduating with a marketing degree. Do you think you can hook her up with someone who's, looking to hire someone, like someone who's new in marketing or, some entry level job? And I said, wait a minute. You run a $10 million restoration company, like water damage and this kind of thing,
Yeah.
and your marketing's not doing very well. You've tried 3 agencies, they burned you and charge a lot of money. You talk to a sales rep who doesn't even know how to do it. They're just a sales rep. Meanwhile, your daughter is graduating college with a marketing degree. It's questionable what she's learned in marketing, but whatever, at the
Hey,
colleges.
hey, I had a
You know,
marketing degree,
I don't
and
have a marketing
I'm
degree.
still in marketing. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I don't even have a marketing degree. I have a finance and an economics. I went to the London School of Economics, which is math, actually. And I said, You should have Mia take over your marketing." "Yeah, but she has no experience. She's never done ads and websites and SEO." And I'm like, if she can have a conversation with the AI and follow some simple SOPs, like tuning the local service ads, optimizing the Google business profile, like, you and Danny talk about, you would not believe 90% of the time, it's the most basic stuff, like not choosing your categories, not being open 24/7, not responding to all the reviews, not repurposing things to YouTube. Just all the, like, just basic stuff every time. If you can just take care of that, she will thrive and do it. They've got a plumbing company, a restoration. They have like a few companies. Most of these people own like 3 or 4 companies because, a cluster of home service businesses.
Yeah.
And she's kicking ass. Fantastic. Even though she has no experience and the agency people were saying, "Oh, no, she won't, you don't want to trust it to a 22-year-old because, are you kidding?" People like Danny Liebrandt. Danny Liebrandt's 21. And I put
Sharp.
my money on him over, I'm 51, okay? I put my money on him over a 51-year-old guy like me doing digital, right?
Yeah.
But that's what's happening because the thing necessary to grow a company from 1.5 million to 15 million, like you're saying, 90% of it is on the operational side. The
Mhm.
the stuff that's done digitally or fixing the website or ads is trivial. And the reason why is that Google and Facebook make money off of ads. If their money's being made off of ads, they have every incentive to make it as idiot-proof as possible for the contractor to win. So all the agencies are doing is getting in the way and then blaming Google and Facebook saying, "Oh, it's so difficult. Oh, you don't want to try to do that yourself. You continue to be a painting contractor and we'll do our thing, because I don't ask you about painting and you don't ask me about digital or SEO or AI or any of that," which is a convenient lie, Jim. It's a lie. And so I love seeing these dozens of kids. Most are in their 20s. We've had some people come in their 40s and 50s
Mm.
because they're like, "Oh, who are you saying I can't?" Like, okay, okay. As long as you can learn and, old dogs, new tricks, they're kicking ass and they're helping these contractors dominate. Where if they have a good reputation, if their technicians out in the field are collecting reviews and taking little cell phone videos, whatnot, then the raw ingredients are being run by their internal marketing department, if you will, where there's some young adult or not so young adult that's in charge of a series of these AI agents. It's a marketing department, if you will. There's
Sure.
one in charge of the website, one in charge of the YouTube channel, one in charge of advertising, and one in charge of all these different areas, right? And we've created roles. Ethan and Christopher and Jennifer, like all of them have access. I'm burning probably $20,000 a month in tokens for our people to be able to use the agents that we've created. And I love
Wow.
it. I'm probably
Wow.
gonna spend 100 grand a month if this thing keeps going. I'm actually losing money right now because people are using more tokens than I anticipated. But every time I see the bill from ChatGPT, it's like bittersweet because A, it's costing me a ton of money, but B, that means people are using it and people are winning. And I see the results and they ping me on Facebook Messenger all the time telling me that it works. I'm like, yeah, what a surprise.
Isn't it ultimately, though, cheaper in the long run than human resources?
Yes and no.
Oh,
So you said that you're 5 times more effective using these AI agents. You're getting 5 times more work done, something along those lines, right?
absolutely, and
Okay.
I'm not I'm like, I barely scratched the surface. I'm not deep into this, but let me give you a quick example of what I used to do. This is just one example, okay? This is really rudimentary. It's simple. So, if if I need to have a 60-second radio commercial, um, written, so copywriting,
Mhm.
okay? Before, if I were to do it myself, I would sit down and I would start writing this based on my experience in writing and based on how many words I think it's gonna be 60 seconds.
Yeah.
I can just go to ChatGPT or, Google Gemini, it's really simple, and
Yeah.
say, "I want a 60-second radio commercial." Type in a few prompts, "Here's the
No.
phone number, here's the offer,"
Yeah.
and it times it out, and it gives me options. It'll be like, "Here's version
Yeah.
1." I haven't
Yeah.
even asked for version 1, I mean, but I
Yeah.
could've, a and this could have taken me to tweak the whole thing myself, it could
Uh-huh.
have taken me a half hour to write the good thing. It
Yeah.
takes literally well, you know what happens when you press
Oh,
enter?
yeah.
It's
Few seconds.
done. So, that's just a very simple example. So, instead of it taking me a half an hour, it's taken me maybe 3 minutes. That's a huge
But
savings of time,
but Jim,
just
do you know
something like that.
why? You know why that's working for you and not for other people that are trying to do copywriting or radio or whatnot?
Mm.
It's because the AI has learned from you, and it's only as good as its manager, right?
Well,
So if you didn't know what
I
you're
have
doing and
trained
you go
it.
to ChatGPT, you won't get the same result. We as humans are managers of our workers. If the manager is competent in that area, then the apprentice is getting better and better. That's what
So
people don't
yeah.
understand.
So, what I will say, what's really nice about using, let's say, ChatGPT,
Yeah.
and I wrote my last book, big secret, but I wrote this little book here within hours because
Yeah.
the the deal is ChatGPT knows me, it knows my business, and
Yeah.
so when I start entering things in, prompts, it already is me, and it'll actually produce things I'm like, "That's what I would have written."
It's
It
learned from you, Jim, because over time, you can even ask it, say, "What's in my context window? How much memory do you have?" And so Sam Altman even said, and same thing with the CEO of Google, he said that both of them have said one of their top priorities is increasing unlimited memory. So every conversation you've ever had, if you've had and then you feed back which of these commercials have won and not, if it also has the result, then it increases what's called the reward system.
Mm,
So there's a reward. So the machine just wants it's like a Labrador golden retriever trying to make you happy, right? So if you tell it what's good dog and what's bad dog, which radio commercial, which 60-second spot won and which didn't, which YouTube video did well, if you feed it back the performance data, the
yeah,
like the
yeah.
Pavlovian dog, punishment, reward, positive, negative feedback, it can learn and adjust because of your experience. So I did the same thing. TikTok paid me a bunch of money to write a book on TikTok ads, #1 bestseller. Me and Perry Marshall, we interviewed the top 10 people on TikTok who were service providers, like plumbing
Mhm.
businesses or, people who run service businesses and call that, 10 Zoom calls was 10 hours, maybe an hour of prep for each one, just like a podcast episode, an hour of prep, an hour of recording it.
Yeah.
So 20 hours total of time, right? Then the thing, just like you said, processed it. We reasoned with it, just like an editor, and turned it into a best-selling book.
Yes.
And people have read the book and said, "Wow, this is so much. I learned so much." And you have a lot of the same principles in your #1 best-selling Facebook ads book, and your #1 best-selling Google ads book, and your book there, and Danny Liebrandt's book for pest control.
Yes.
Same thing, podcast interviews and all that, and the AI turned it into a book.
And so for the people who don't understand, this is still my book. It is still my thoughts.
Yeah,
What's nice about AI is, and I've been doing this for years, I've been putting content out there for years. So AI, no, I don't have to just teach it. It it learns from me. So,
yeah,
for instance, if I go to ChatGPT or Gemini right now and say, "Tell me about Jim Klauck,"
yeah.
it'll say something like, "Wow, you must think a lot of yourself, Jim." Whoa, because it knows it's me. Versus the old Google would just tell me about Jim Klauck, right? And now it knows it's me, asking me about me, and it'll say, "Well, are you on Checker Pro? You've been on it for 20 years. You're married to Robin. You have 2 kids," and it knows everything about me. It knows all about anything that was ever put in there. This podcast will be there for it to draw from. And so every day, the more content you put out there about you and your business, the more it learns, and then I teach it stuff directly. And
Yeah.
also, what's really interesting is, and this is a little bit of an aside, but I love this about AI. I do something relatively unique, which is direct response radio. And
Yeah.
what's really fun is the more I do content and put content out there, the more relevant I am. So, if you were to go to Gemini or you go to any AI and you type, um, "Tell me about direct response radio for home service,"
Mhm.
Jim Klauck at Checker Pro's at the freaking top.
Yeah.
Which is gonna be very well, it's become valuable, but it's gonna become even more and more valuable as AI becomes more common to use, and I'm learning all this stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
actually, I'm kind of on the cutting edge of that because it's kind of a narrow space,
Yeah.
and, actually, if you just type in direct response radio, forget the contractor piece, we still show up pretty high. So,
Yeah.
it's it's really cool, and I'm going bonkers with this because I need to actually really be tutored on this. I need to go to a class. I need to go into this deep because I am not using this well enough.
You should see what Danny and I are doing. We'll
Okay.
help you.
All right.
That'll help with your knowledge panel. That's just a byproduct of what
Yeah.
you're doing. And this is true for any contractor that wants to win in their neighborhood to be a local celebrity. If they do like what you and I are doing, or Danny and Tommy are doing, it doesn't mean you have to do this like massive podcast. But if you interview other people in your neighborhood and
Mhm.
interview customers and interview your team members, then the AI can turn it into social media and YouTube and Google, like turn it into all the. I love using the Mexican food analogy. That whole thing, right?
I don't
So,
know. Do I?
so, if you go to a Mexican restaurant, they have beans, cheese, rice, ground beef,
About right.
lettuce. That can be recombined into a burrito, a
Yes.
tostada, a taco, an enchilada, a
Yep.
chalupa, a chimichanga, whatever the shape. There's like 12 different
That's
things,
Mexican for you. Yeah.
but it's only it's the same set of ingredients recombined, right? It's the same. What is the steak that they have? The fajita steak. There's
Yeah.
a word for it. Anyway, it's that steak, but whether they put it into a taco or burrito, carnitas or whatever, like it's the so I don't think people understand. Contractors don't understand what matters is the quality of the beef and beans and cheese and rice. If that is there, then you can make all the tacos and burritos and whatever the shape of the thing is that you want. And so what AI does, as you and I have been doing, is they're workers on the raw ingredients. So imagine Gordon Ramsay could come into your kitchen and you have high quality ingredients. He can cook almost anything, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
If you have bad ingredients, Gordon Ramsay can't fix that. And that's what drives me nuts about contractors that don't understand that, because they think I'm just going to pay 8,000. There's a friend of mine, I won't name him.
Yeah.
He's paying $8,000 a month for a piece of software from an AI agency that supposedly has all these PhDs that auto writes these blog posts every month. And I looked at it. I said, it's complete garbage. It's not helping ranking. It's actually, we're going to have to come in and fix all of it. So they should not only refund the $8,000 a month, but they should pay on top of it, because our team's going to have to come in and fix it.
Mm.
Because this guy here, he's the typical, middle-aged contractor. He thought, well, I don't understand this. These other guys are Silicon Valley AI experts. It sounds really good and they have a good pitch and all that. I'll just pay them the money because I don't want to mess it up. And AI changes so fast and I can't keep up. And uh, no. So I audited the blog posts yesterday on the plane ride back from Istanbul back to Chicago. I audited those blog posts because they had Wi-Fi, Starlink, Elon Musk, right? And none of those blog posts contained any real experience. So imagine, for our contractor friends that are listening, is there evidence of real experience of a story that happened in a particular town on a particular day, doing a particular thing? are there videos and pictures
Mhm.
to prove that that's the case, right? Can I share my screen and show you something?
Sure.
Check this out. Oh, you gotta allow me to share. So those people watching on YouTube, they can see this. So this is something people don't like. I know you and I are like talking about this, right? But here, this is you and Tommy Mello talking. This is real. This is not AI generated,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
So this is what contractors need to understand. So Danny and I, yesterday we were in Istanbul, and the day before that we were in like Cappadocia and Izmir, and looking at these things from 12,000 years old. Do you know the world's oldest statue is 12,000 years old from
Wow.
Göbekli Tepe? It's insane.
Wow.
And here are all these things that we saw. And we were at, you see this crazy vertical stadium thing. This is
Yes.
at where I forgot the name of the town, but we did the seven churches of Revelation, right? Went to all those cities, 21 different hotels, a different city every night for 22 days straight. And
Incredible.
so there's real proof. This is the Denzili in Turkey. Okay, right? So this is one of the Roman amphitheaters. So
Fantastic.
this is real proof of a real story, right? Here it is, right? And you can see Google's AI, because it's Google Photos, uploaded from my iPhone, has tagged it as in Denzili and with Danny, and you could see like anything tagged with Danny, all this stuff is here, right?
Mhm.
So anyone who's a contractor, everything's tied by who the person is, tied by where it is. So I can grab anything that's with, Tommy Mello, right?
Yeah.
And me and Tommy Mello doing Tommy Mello things, right?
Sure.
Or any city in the world, name a city.
Name a city? Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. Did I spell it correctly?
Close.
Okay.
Alri
So here's Cincinnati.
Yep.
And so here I'm speaking in Cincinnati at some university somewhere, right?
Sure.
And there's real proof. And this is March 2nd, 2017
And you
at this
can't hide.
university. So if all of this stuff, and there's other stuff in Cincinnati, right? So so if all of us, all of our contractor friends merely took everything off of their phones
Mhm.
and used Google Photos to categorize it on what's happening, you know, roofing, toilets, air conditioners, right? There,
Mhm.
roofing. Why did I took a picture? Oh, because there's a bird. Oh, because these are what are these, swallows or wood ducks? I don't know. There's a roof, okay? But would you not agree, Jim, that Google's I don't mean Gemini, I mean Google in general,
Yep.
is so smart at categorizing any object, like name a kind of food, name an activity, name a place, name a person. Google has already categorized it, and they've been doing it the last 20 years. It's just
Yes.
not been called AI. They've already been doing it the whole time.
Yeah.
So, if those raw ingredients have all like name a thing.
A thing?
Yeah. It's like
Ca
Pictionary, or what is it, the where you
a
like,
castle.
castle.
Mhm.
Okay. So, Google's AI is looking at any castle.
Yeah.
So, this is Neuschwanstein Castle, the Cinderella Castle, right? With the Disney actually copied their Cinderella thing off of in Schwangau, Germany, June
Wow.
2nd this year. I was there. And there's other castles. So this is a castle back here. I forgot the name of this castle, but it's one of these ancient Roman amphitheaters, right?
Yep. Yep.
And so here's a castle. What castle is this? This is in Milan, right? So would you not agree, Jim, that Google, like if you want to win in Google, probably want to use Google's AI, and Google's AI is identifying what you were doing. So I could take all this stuff, I can go to ChatGPT, and I could connect my Google Photos. See here?
Yes.
In the Google Drive, and say, grab anything about castles that I've been to and write blog posts and grab videos where I'm doing. So just like you wrote your book, it is all you. If I write an article or whatever,
Things you've
it's
done.
all real ingredients. No, I don't have
Yes.
to. That someone else is doing that. Me. But you see here, I've got Emily and Michael and John and Jennifer and like they're all doing this work. And the more they do stuff, the more they learn. Just like the more you have it write 60-second spots, the more it's doing, the better it
Sure.
gets, right? And that's
Sure.
what's happening here.
And, something else is gonna happen too, which I haven't told many people, but I'll say it now, that eventually well, the technology is here today, but I have not implemented it, but I will be able to actually reproduce myself quick anywhere. So, right now, I record a full show with someone,
Yeah.
but I'll be able to if I wanted to, which I don't wanna do it because I wanna keep it authentic, but if
Yeah.
I wanted to do it, I could have AI Jim interview AI contractor by just taking their likeness, and all I have to do is take their voice. I don't even need video for it because it's
Yeah.
audio, right? Take
Yeah.
take their voice, AI knows their voice, my AI interviews them on any topic that we type in.
We have
Whoa.
AIs right now that can join Zoom calls and take notes and talk to you, and it's a little bit you can tell it's not quite human because there's a delay and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
voice isn't quite the
yeah.
but it's almost there. We have
Well,
that today. I've built AI dentists to interview people and to do all this
sure,
other stuff.
sure,
Yeah.
and I'm not quite there yet because, I I I could do it. The technology's there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of technology we have today that we haven't implemented everywhere, like, Amazon can deliver your goods via drone, but it's not everywhere because it's just not the right thing at this point. Because it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's just too much in the sky, and there's all kinds of reasons. So, um, my audience who listens to the radio shows are 50 plus, so they're my age and older. And so they're okay with the old-fashioned stuff. I don't wanna start messing around with that
Yeah.
demographic too much, but
Yeah.
there will be a time where it might make sense to use artificial intelligence, and if it sounds really good, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't. People are listening and so forth, but I I have a little bit of a problem with it right now, so
Yeah.
so just so you know, everything you hear on the radio is me. Everything you see on YouTube is me, FYI.
It's so bad. It's so funny you have to make that disclaimer, and I
Well
do too, right? And
well,
people
yeah.
wonder, like, is that actually Dennis replying? Like, it's actually me.
Yeah,
I'm Jim.
and
I'm here for you. This is actually Dennis. I feel like
yeah,
that's an
actually, you
honor,
know
an
what?
old fashioned respect.
Maybe it's not you. You could have been duping me the whole or your AI could have been duping me the whole time. And, that's a whole different podcast where at some point we need to discuss the deep fakes and what's gonna happen going on in the future because when you go online, whether you're on Facebook, for instance, and you see the president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, at the
Mhm.
podium saying, "Watch out, we are being attacked by the Russians."
Yeah.
Well, is that real or not? And you know what I tell people? I tell people if I'm not sure, I turn the radio on and the television.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell. I mean, even now, some of it's pretty obvious that you can tell, but some of it's like, I'm
You
not so
can't.
sure. We're not even there yet. And I think there'll have to be some adjustments made because we can't go through life questioning things constantly. Because I question everything,
Mhm.
everything I see and read online now.
Yeah. A friend of mine who's a contractor got these messages from me that he should invest in Bitcoin and get in right away. And after having a bunch of these conversations, he wired $50,000 to an offshore account. And then he messaged me on Facebook and he said, Dennis, can we talk for a minute? I'm like, Greg, about what? What's going on? I'm about to board this flight. Well, I just wanted to talk about this investment that I've made. What investment?
Oh my
We,
goodness.
we've been talking this whole time online. And I'm like, or a Kick or whatever the social network was, right? Or a Discord or something. I'm like, I'm not on those networks. And I can actually pull up the video. And he sent me some of these videos where it looks like me and he's been chatting with them. And I'm curious to see like if you would be fooled by this AI. Let's see here. So I can find this. Tell me, Jim, if you, I mean, you and I are both in our 50s. This guy is in his 50s as well. Would you be fooled by this AI? Uh,
Now, I don't trust anything anymore, Dennis. I just told you
oh,
that.
here it is.
So,
Here it is. I pulled it up. Okay, here it is. Unplay it.
all right.
And praying for reasons unknown to me yet. God has been helping us grow in every area, and we give thanks to Him.
No, no, I already say no.
Greg, I've been worried about your welfare and our relationship seems to have
Nope.
encountered a strain for reasons.
Yeah, but
Nope.
it's getting it's
You're you're
but some
talking
50-year-olds, he got
you're
fooled
talking
by
too
that.
fast there. I think that individual you just showed me is not the same cadence as your voice, but anyway. But
But it'll
but
fool a lot of
it
50-year-olds.
will. No, 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 it will, it
This guy
will.
got scammed for $50,000 because of videos like that. He thought he was talking to me.
Well, so I've seen these stories, where people think that a celebrity is communicating with, a person, and they think they have a relationship with Matthew McConaughey, and they're
Yeah.
convinced they do, and they're being duped. And if you really think Matthew McConaughey, first of all, he's married, but you really think he's having
Yeah.
a relationship with you and you've never met the guy, "Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, but he messages me and we've had video, calls," and I'm like, "No, it's fake." And so people wanna believe what they wanna believe too, and that's a problem.
You know John Cena from WWE, the
Yeah.
wrestler guy?
Yeah.
So we created his Facebook profile, his Facebook page almost 20 years ago. Yeah. When I had a meeting with Vince McMahon, and we were doing all kinds of stuff for WWE, and we went from nothing all of a sudden to millions of fans on Facebook.
Mm.
And because we were running ads and managing, sales of tickets and merchandise and whatnot, I saw I would get thousands of notifications and messages because I was managing the John Cena page and managing WWE, and I was admin on all that kind of stuff. And the reason I bring that up is that these kids, like some 14-year-old kid would be like, "Oh, I'd really love to chat with you. Can you give me my phone number or give me your phone number and whatever?" So then I would reply as John Cena,
Sure.
and I would say, "Freddie, dude, that is so awesome. I'm glad that, I'm so happy to be a role model of yours. And, if I'm ever in Columbus, Ohio, or like I'd look up their profile, like wherever they are, I'd love to, be able to see you. But I'm busy right now because I'm getting ready for, this next match." And so me, Dennis Yu, this Chinese guy, was replying as John Cena to all of these different parents. And then maybe it's like people who believe in WWE, they don't realize it's not real, whatever it is. But I made this is something like nobody but like you and I know, but I made thousands of people's day. A bunch of
Oh, sure.
these kids, because they thought John Cena, which was me, replied to them on social media.
Well,
And
the
so
same
I don't know, is that evil of doing that? But I was saying things that are encouraging, like, "Oh, congratulations on graduating 8th grade, and, good luck on whatever it is." Like, I was saying encouraging things
no,
as John Cena.
millions of kids sit on Santa's lap every year. They think it's Santa. What can I tell you? Right? It's not too different. It's like, "Oh, Santa is gonna take my list and bring all this stuff on Christmas." So,
Yeah.
um, whatever makes your day, and that's okay as long as it doesn't go further than that. But when you start, taking money from people, that's bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that's bad. Hey, Dennis, this has been awesome. Let's do this again soon. We can talk about so many different things. I really appreciate your time. And this has been enlightening for me, and I'm sure the viewers as well.
Anything I can do, Jim. And if you wanna do a session, I'll walk you through AIs we've built. I'll walk you through how you can build that stronger department of agents where you're the manager. Like, everything we have, I'm putting out there because I want our contractor friends to get that. I want them to implement it for themselves, and I'm putting it all out there for free. There's no reason not to do it, right? And it pisses me off that most of my friends, they're like, "Oh, I was burned by the last 3 agencies I hired." Like,
Yeah.
well, you need to know enough not to be scammed by, like, my friend Greg, who I just told you got scammed, right? The same thing is happening with these agencies and AI experts, and all these people have now declared that they're AI experts. They were the people that were selling crypto, that were social media experts, whatever the latest thing is, and they're now AI experts. It drives me nuts, Jim. So the more you and I can do to enlighten people
Sure.
and protect them from this nonsense, because everyone's like AI this and AI that. I'm like tired of that, you know?
Absolutely. By the way, all of Dennis's information is located in the description of this podcast. So one click away. Dennis, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, Jim.